Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. I think that we're at a point now where it's time for a shift. It's time for a shift with the way the media talks about UFOs, extraterrestrials. It's time that with the evidence that has compiled now. I think it's. I mean, I would be satisfied with a probably, the media could say, well, it seems probable now that there's an extraterrestrial presence here, or it's apparent, there's an apparent extraterrestrial presence here, rather than, just to continue this nonsense where they're downplaying it all the time, where they act like there's no proof whatsoever. Over this past weekend, I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson again. Of course, the guy is a very likable person. When he talks about the universe, you love to listen to him. He's very, very likable. He's a gift actually to the world, really, when you think about it. I mean, he's very enjoyable to listen to. He's very intelligent when it comes to the galaxy and the stars and the universe and a lot of different theories with regards to what might be out there. But when it comes to the extraterrestrial reality, he completely has his blinders on. And again, it came up. This was during an interview he had on CNN with Chris Wallace on Sunday, where it comes up again, like the question comes up to him, and he says something to the effect of, well, with regard to extraterrestrials being here, as far as he's concerned, there's no proof. And again, he fell back on some of the same old things that he said in the past. Basically that if we're able to capture images of a meteor, with high definition video, we should have already have captured high definition images of an extraterrestrial or its craft. The thing about it is, though, he fails to understand this, and this is the thing that really troubles me. What he fails to understand, and the mainstream media fails to understand, is that when you're talking about an intelligence that again, we talk about this all the time, it could be 1 million years or more advanced than the human race. I mean, it could be well over 1 million years. We just don't know. We don't know how long they've been here, how long they've been checking us out. We do know that something snapped in the mid-40s, right? We know that. It seems like things picked up since then. Apparently, it seems it could have been connected with our use of nuclear weapons with the atomic bomb blast in 1945. The Trinity Project. It seems like it could be all tied to that drew apparently many different sorts of extraterrestrials to this planet. And it's clear now. I mean, there's just so much evidence. I've been talking about different YouTube channels recently, and again, I can't express enough how very interesting. There's a YouTube channel out there. There's a guy. He's named Preston Dennett, and I left a link the last couple of podcasts to his YouTube channel. It's something you really should check out. This guy really covers a lot of ground. He basically just talks about cases that have happened over the years, and it's very interesting. But he for instance, he talks about all these. There's over 100 cases that he's cataloged where UFOs have showed up at schools, at schools, elementary schools, colleges, and hundreds of people see them, I mean, it's like it's almost like they're showing up, and it's like a display. They're giving us a display, as Preston says. Like, basically what's happening over the years is it seems like sometimes these things show up and they give us a display. There's been a lot of cases, like a lot of people aren't aware of this, but there's a lot of cases, for instance, that at drive-in movie theaters where a flying saucer just shows up and hovers above the screen, and everyone's sitting there watching in the movie could see it. There's been cases where it scared so many people that they drove off. It's almost like it seems at times that these beings have been announcing themselves to the human race, trying to get us used to it, but yet we're still denying it after all these decades of evidence that have compiled. We're denying it, and then on top of it, we have our officials, people that we put in charge, like here in the United States, our military, the Air Force, and some secret control group tries to downplay all these things. I mean, they've been doing it for decades, and they're still doing it. They're starting, like, it seems like since 2017, there's an effort, obviously, to bring this stuff to the forefront. Apparently, there's some people within the Pentagon, obviously, that think it's time we start accepting the reality, right? But there is still an effort to pull it back too at the same time. I think it's time to take that step forward. It's time for the media, instead of saying, making a joke out of it or acting like you don't know, like you're always bringing on people who really have really not studied this. Again, someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, as I've said before in previous podcasts, he's highly intelligent, but at the same time, he has no idea what's going on with UFOs. He's obviously not studied this. He doesn't understand the extent of it. He doesn't understand that there is actually proof that has been compiled. And it's like, we're ignoring it. The media ignores it. There have been people that have studied this. There are people who have studied landing cases, right? There's just so much out there where these things land, and we still don't have any explanation other than aliens for cattle mutilations, right? We just don't have any other explanation for it other than aliens, or that they are responsible. An extraterrestrial presence is responsible for cattle mutilations. It's clear at this point. We have enough evidence at this point now to say at least, I mean, we could at least have the media needs to start taking it to this level, to at least say the apparent extraterrestrial presence, the apparent alien presence, however you want to put it, but it's apparent. It seems like it's possible, right? It's probable. You just look at us, at the human race, the way we are right now. I mean, the advancements just in my short 54 years on this planet, the things that I've seen, people today, young kids today have no idea how to operate a rotary phone. I mean, they wouldn't. If you were to put a rotary phone in front of a kid, they wouldn't know how to operate it because they don't even know what they are. That's so old-fashioned to them, it seems ridiculous. But to me, I mean, we grew up with these things. I grew up with a rotary phone. It was 7 people in the house that I grew up in, right? And there was only one phone. And if you weren't home, then somebody called, and you didn't talk to them. Now things are completely different, as we all know. And if you were at home and you're on the phone with somebody and somebody called, right? At one point there wasn't even a call waiting kind of thing. You wouldn't even know if somebody else was trying to call you. They would just get a busy signal, and that would be the end of the story. If your mom was on the phone with somebody talking, for a half hour, and your buddies are trying to call you to go play baseball, well, guess what? Your buddies aren't going to get through because it's busy. The only way to get through, you'd have to call up an operator and have an emergency break-in. That's the break into the line. Things are so different now than they were from when I was a kid growing up. But if you look at it, like how far the human race has advanced, I mean, we could just look at ourselves and see where we're heading. We're in 1,000 years, we're going to be traveling throughout this solar system, beyond the solar system, probably. Maybe throughout the galaxy, maybe deep into the galaxy, into the Milky Way galaxy. Who knows where we're going to be? It's going to be. We can't even dream of how far advanced we're going to be in the far future. But I have a feeling we're going to be traveling through the stars. And when you understand that, you realize that if we could do that, if we're going to be able to do that, and we understand that this universe has been around a long time, a lot longer than us, way longer than us, right? When you understand that there obviously has to be other life out there. And these UFO sightings over the years, these encounters that tens of thousands of people have had with beings that are not, there's no way they're human, right? With craft that there's no way they could have been made by mankind, right? With all these things now that we see, that we're aware of, when you look at it in totality, you understand that, obviously that's what it is. There is only one answer. There's things coming from other places here for some reason. Why? I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of theories. I mean, are they here to take over the planet? There's a lot of theories about that. We don't know, but that's for another story. That's not what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about, we just need to begin to accept this. The media needs to begin to talk in a different tone on this now. I mean, we have people stepping forward now. There are whistleblowers. There are people coming forward now and meeting with Congress, with the United States congressional committees, to talk about what they know. And it's going to start. It's starting to come out now. It's at the very least, we need to say the apparent extraterrestrial reality, the apparent extraterrestrial presence, because what else could it possibly be? I mean, we talk about, like there's all these like this guy Preston Dennett. He's cataloged over 100 cases involving kids seeing craft hovering over schools, and not only that, but actual humanoid beings walking around, alien beings, like landing, craft that's landing near a school, and that's just schools, right? Landing near schools in broad daylight, and beings getting out and walking around. I just was recently talking about the 1966 Westall, Australia UFO case, where over 200 witnesses, mostly students at this Westall school in Australia in 1966, saw a craft land. Right? They saw, 1965. They saw a craft land. Right, and army personnel showed up, and then all the kids were called into the auditorium, and the principal told them, "Hey, what you saw today wasn't. Don't talk about this with nobody. This was experimental aircraft, and blah 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 blah." There was no way it was experimental aircraft. I mean, that's the 1965. If it was experimental aircraft, we would have seen it by now. That's well over 50 years ago now. We're almost 60 years ago now, actually. So, I mean, it wasn't experimental aircraft. We don't have things that could fly around like that, make no sound, saucer shaped with no visible means of propulsion, and do crazy stunts in the sky and then fly off. We don't have stuff like that. But yet, we're it's like our officials don't want us to go there yet. It's like at least that's what they were doing in the past. They didn't want us, the human race, to know about this yet for some reason. But we're well beyond that now. Again, we still have the useful idiots we have to deal with the debunkers. But again, if we need to take that step. I mean, who cares what those people say? I mean, for us, the debunkers could cry their eyes out all day long. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what they say. They're denying the situation. They're denying the reality that there is something going on. Again, there is at the very least, the mainstream media and actually the scientific community needs to at the very least begin to start calling it the apparent extraterrestrial presence, because that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, there's just so much evidence, and I'm not going to get into all the different cases because I talk about them all the time. I could mention them by name: the Ariel school incident, the Turkey UFO videos, right? All these different things, and all those school cases I talked about. If you were to read about all the different drive-in movie theater incidents, for instance, right? All the different people driving down a highway, and then the radio conks out, and then next thing you know, there's a UFO and there's alien beings standing, landed in front of the highway in front. How many cases are like this, right? There's just so much. It's just ridiculous now. It's overwhelming. It's like, wake up, don't you see what's going on here? Wake up, don't you see what's going on here? When I was younger, in my early 20s, the one time I was with my brother Davey, he was driving. We were driving in Pennsylvania here. We were going into Pottsville, right? And he was going really fast. I think the speed limit there was only 40 or 45 miles an hour. When you're driving down this big hill south into Pottsville, and he must have been going 55, 60, and we're going down into Pottsville where there's going to be a series of red lights, and he's really going fast. And I'm like, "Hey, Dave, how about slowing down?" And he's still going fast. And then finally, he finally slowed down when it was almost too late. He drove into Pottsville, right? And there was a tractor trailer, in front of us at a red light, stopped completely at a red light, and he's slamming on the brakes, and he came within, I swear to God, it must have been like within an inch of hitting the back of that tractor trailer truck. And I couldn't believe, I thought we were about to get into a wreck, but luckily we didn't. He slammed on the brakes, nothing happened. But it caused the tractor trailer driver, he actually got out of his truck, he walked over to my brother Davey's the driver's side window, and he looked at my brother Davey. He said, "Don't you see this?" And he pointed at the back of the tractor trailer truck. That's what he said. He said, "Don't you see this?" And my brother had no response. I'm just looking at my brother like, "Yeah, don't you see? I didn't say this, but don't you see?" I didn't say anything. I think he got it. He got the message. But yeah, that's basically what's happening here. Don't you see this? Like, what else do we need to do here? again, like the kind of proof that these people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and the scientific community seems to want is that they think that I think in their minds it seems to me that they think it's going to be some sort of like a special day, you know, when aliens come from somewhere and land on the White House lawn and say, hey, we're here as friends, and they're going to come out like it's going to be like Jar Jar Binks kind of looking aliens and stuff. I don't know what they're thinking. Whatever it is, it's wrong. They think these things, but in reality, the truth of the matter is, these things, they're not going to do that. I think they're actually telling us. They've been telling us for decades now. They've been sending out the message in a way. I mean, what else do we need? I mean, don't you see this? Just like that tractor trailer truck driver said to my brother. I mean, that's where we're at right now. Don't you see this? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. We need to accept it. All of us need to. The scientific community as a whole actually needs to accept it. This is beyond absurd at this point. It's time to get over that hump. It's time to, you know, there's enough stuff out there now to see it. I mean, I don't know. The scientific community wants to have the dead bodies in their hands. Of course, and here's one thing. I just want to say this. I'm certain, right, that the United States government and probably other governments of the world have actual evidence, alien technology, and some of this might come out in some of these whistleblower hearings, right? We might find out more about this. So we actually have the evidence, but it's not being shared with the rest of the world for, you know, whatever reason. We actually have the evidence, but they want that. That's what they want. They want the actual hardware in their hands. They want the alien beings in their hands. But guess what? There's already evidence there. You don't even need that at this point. There's enough testimony from people who have seen these things, who have encountered them. That's more than enough. We have more than enough. There's way more than enough right now. We got to stop playing this game. We got to move over this hump. Right? We got to get beyond this. We have to have the media and the scientific community. Again, we need to start calling it, at the very least. As far as I'm concerned, right, there is an extraterrestrial presence. But hey, the next step is for the media, for the scientific community to start referring this to at least the apparent extraterrestrial presence. That's where we need to be right now.